Glenn, what's going on in this video?
All this is starting because the captain there has got a cruise boat, and these other people are parked where the boat is supposed to park. So he's just coming down to tell them that, you know, your boat's not in the right place. And this is what transpires. Look at these animals. First of all, even if it was one-on-one, you're fighting over a parking space for a boat, where clearly that's a commercial space for the riverboat cruise boat. And then you have all these other clowns jumping in on this one person. And this goes on and on. And then the race card starts. And then a lot of other people want to get involved. Look, he's trying to calm things down, but this went on. You know, we didn't show the whole thing, but this turned out to be a big brawl where people were arrested and everything. Pulling out the race card. Real men don't lose their everything like that. They stay in control of themselves. For every action, there's a reaction, but real men don't react. They respond calculated. And this seems to be happening a lot more in the world lately. People are losing it. Their fuses are very short, and people are on the defensive today for everything. You remember a little while ago we talked about how you can put two rats in a cage and they're buddies, and then you start giving the cage a little electric shock every hour, one little bzz. By 24 hours later, the rats are trying to kill each other because they're blaming their discomfort on the other rats. Are human beings becoming like rats? You see, we were given free will to be able to discern from what is good and what is bad. But we seem to be losing this ability, and then aggression is just coming out. It's sad, but it's happening so many different places. So many, parents with their children, for over little things. Even on the bike path, when I'm going on my bike, and I watch, some people are going slow. Some people, you're sharing the path with people who are on the electric bikes, and they're whizzing by people, and nobody wants to get along. Hey. There's one race, the human race, and we're all on this planet, and we have to share it. So we have to get along. Nothing is yours. And when you leave the planet, you're not taking anything with you.
So this is a good way to start another roundtable here at Alex Sash Show at the Glen Zone with Glenn Herring and Andre Carteret again. Andre, if you had to discern, why is this news all over the news cycle and everybody picking it up, and including us? Why we talk? Well, I know why we're talking about it. We want to actually kind of break it down why this is on the news. I perceive it as this is the start of the new race war. This is some kind of distraction. Let's focus on the race factor. It's Alabama. They're still all racist in Alabama. It's America. It's horrible. I don't know how they're going to spin it, but this is the new God forbid somebody would have got hurt or died. That could have been new BLM riot kind of thing. What do you think, Andre?
Yeah, I think they've been stoking the race war for a long time. If they would have had it their way, we would have caved years ago. George Floyd, obviously, but even before then. And, I guess some of it is, not some of it, it's warranted, right? We grew up with the first ever caught on camera was Rodney King. And that changed the face of North America after that with the riots that happened in LA. And now it's like they're trying to tap back into that playbook. And that context in those years, that's what everybody needed to see, because this happened on a regular basis, and the minorities have been telling us about it. And let's not pretend that, politically speaking, they're still not trying to cause divide in any which way they can. So advertising the liberal North Coast media or LA or California trying to make the South look bad as if they're still having race wars and race conflicts. And obviously those people look hammered just by the way they're throwing their body around. Not a fighter in the bunch, nobody squared up, and they're just knuckling up in the most awkward way. And it's making for a lot of hilarious memes with the chairs. And I'm not familiar with the whole video, and I'll check that out at some point. But yeah, the liberal media trying to portray the South as still redneck and racist and violent against colored people, which I think it's more systemic and more judicial, the systemic racism and stuff. But this video that's making the rounds, I think it's because it rings true with what Glenn is saying. Everybody's short-fused. Everybody's reacting. We need to choose to act, not react. The spiritual principle of non-reaction states that when you're reacting to somebody, you're allowing them to choose your behavior rather than choosing it yourself. And that's what that video kind of depicts. Nobody looks good there.
And we see all this happening in the mainstream media. They're purposely putting out the worst cases of humanity or inhumanity, doing that purposely to keep us all divided, to keep the defenses up against our brothers and our sisters, and as though they're the ones that we should be worried about. When actuality, it's the people who control the media. You become a product of your environment. Now, if the media makes you want to believe, controls your perception of reality, and you think you're in a violent atmosphere all the time, environment, then chances are you're going to become like that. So you're becoming just like the controllers want. You're just another mindless muppet going through the motions without any thinking and proper reaction. And this is portrayed over and over again. And this is why you have people now with such short fuses, and they're against each other. It's everywhere.
They're falling for the programming. It's why I appreciate what you guys do, and I mentioned it before, and it's why I keep coming back. It's you guys doing the opposite. CNN paying the price, for division over all these years. And when they lost Trump, they lost such the hate factor of people tuning in. And look at their ratings and their viewership, and then corporately they just plummeted to firing their whole roster. You guys are doing the opposite as far as trying to finish off with a white pill and empowering people. But this is the lowest hanging fruit, and it does work. People would they normalize it? So this is how it plays out after they allow themselves to be programmed.
Why not this story though? How come this story didn't make the news cycle? This is a 76-year-old woman being dragged by a black man across the pavement. I think maybe San Francisco somewhere.
That would be racist in today's context.
Or Texas. That would be racist, right? In today's context. She got up fairly quick, though. She must be in a good shape. She might.
Good for her.
But the point is, like, well, how come they choose white versus black? That's why I believe, brothers and sisters, that's my discernment. They're trying to start another BLM. So they're holding on to anything to show, like, oh my God, look, we still live in such a racist environment. You guys are all racist, and I don't know where they're going with that, because racism is out of the window. This is we're all racist against, well, not racist, prejudice against transgender thing now. That's all old news. Being racist now. You're now homophobic and transphobic, and I don't know what other expressions that they use, because so this to me is all news. Why? That's my question. Is why didn't the race making a comeback when it's no longer fashionable? The trans thing is fashion, and climate change is fashion. Race is, or they're just trying to like catch on to anything they possibly can to stir, like you said, to continue to divide us and keep us angry and fearful, and like you said, keep us reactive, not active in that sense.
Yeah, just consumer. You're just watching, bystander. It's like politicized entertainment, infotainment. You know what I mean?
I would love to for the news to show this kind of stuff, Andre.
The reality of these liberal states that produce this liberal media that just can't even clean their own home, like the failure of the liberal blue democratic states, the socialist states, these nanny states. You're right. We should be having these montages like on a daily basis. It's unbelievable the footage that we get to see on these fringe websites, but you won't see it on CNN, even though it's happening right outside their door.
Oh, because they're always talking about new normal, and this is new normal. You go to Montreal and to a gay village, and just a month ago, the mainstream legacy media released an article saying how the businesses, terrace businesses, which is clubs, bars, and cafes, they're losing business because the village became such a cesspool of homeless, of drug addicts, and panhandlers, and it's becoming difficult. People don't want to go there, including the people that live there. They don't want to use local amenities of that 15-minute city scenario, because it's dangerous and it's awkward. You're there to have relaxing time, having coffee with your friends, etc., and you're going to be surrounded by this kind of scenario. And this is the stuff that started to show, but not so much, because that goes against the whole narrative, right? Also, the new normal that we experience in the Lizzo, right, Glenn? That's your favorite, isn't it? Lizzo's your favorite performer. Do you know? Name one song.
Lizzo, the overweight performer that just got caught.
Lizard, yeah. She was the one talking, everybody's fat phobic. You should accept her. She's beautiful, this and that. And then we hear that the people who were working for her
She got sued, right?
Yeah, they're saying that she made
Fat
them
shaming.
feel bad, and they were overweight, and you're too heavy to be dancing for my show. And she was a little. Apparently, it's coming out that she was wanting them to do a little bit of funny sexual acts with different
bananas.
people. Would go into strip clubs and wanting to pair her staff up with other people, and she wanted to watch this. You see, we're not there.
Dude, you know way too much about this.
Thank God we're not there, But
I don't know, Glenn. Man.
You don't know what is and what real it is, but that's what the media does. It likes to put you out there in Wonderland, so you don't really know what's going on. The truth. They want you to believe that being blue-pilled is the way it's supposed to be, and they tell you to jump, and you're supposed to respond by how high. This is the control mechanism that they want over people, and this is the reason for our show, is to get people to take control of themselves and not to be the effect, cause and effect.
Way to segue into how media controls the narrative.
And are still Trump supporters. They go, yeah, you guys are going crazy. He's doing, what are you so surprised about? He's doing exactly what he said he's going to do.
Well, and I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Trump is trying to undermine the media?
And that's her job. She said that's our job to control what people think. Right?
It really looks like the media is doing everything they can to not let this guy win again, because they're terrified of him.
But I want to get back to the new normal conversation. I mean, this is, Glenn, let's stick with the Lizzo subject, right? She's, I'm not even going to show her picture, but if you guys don't know who Lizzo is, look it up yourself. It's not worth the time here at the show. But I believe this video from Brazil, and this is portraying a fat model. Somehow they showed her exercising. I don't know what they were trying to say. This is a one-off, right? This is once a year kind of activity for her. Although it's probably, to be fair, she says there's 66% of Brazilians are overweight. I wouldn't know if that's the true statistic or not. And she's like, well, that's no longer a proper beauty standard. And, I'm the average beauty standard, and we all need to adhere. It's like, did you ever guys see this cartoon show? I don't know. It's Disney. I don't want to promote Disney. WALL-E, right? They're all on a cruise ship in space because Earth is got climate changed. And
Surprise.
And they're all kind of like in computerized rocking chairs kind of thing, all fat and overweight. And you can see, look at the video they're showing here of the people being extremely overweight. And this is what they're selling to us as new normal. This is sort of the consumerism, right? This is the consumption. So they're not only consuming the clothes to cover their fat bodies, and I'm fat shaming, and this is probably some sort of hate speech, and that'll probably puts us
Fascist.
back. And that will put us, what do you call it?
Fascist.
Okay, yeah.
Fascist.
Okay, so that's going to probably put us back into YouTube jail. I hope not. We're still in the YouTube jail. That's actually, we're going to do an episode on all of that. And there was a crackdown by Google, but that's not today's conversation. Glenn, and that's the new normal that's selling it to us. But again, it's about consumption and no discipline and 15-minute cities. So it's too far to walk to the grocery store. You just roll out of bed and you fall into the grocery store, specifically into deep fry section. But I have a video from 1930s New York, and some people say, well, that's depression. But show me one fat person on this video.
You know, the video before, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if you just look at the picture, you see, I don't know if that's a woman, but, today, you're flipping a coin,
Okay,
to be sure, right?
Let's do it again.
And this person got the crazy hairstyle, it's different color on top.
Letting you know she ain't well.
She's got a lot of piercings.
So basically what you're saying, I don't know her pronouns.
No, but I
These
mean,
people confuse common now with normal. They'd want since it's so common, they want to pass it off as normal. And scientifically speaking, BMI speaking, like look in the UK, they have to increase the BMI for military enrollment. Like we're at that point where they're confusing common with normal, make the new normal.
Now,
and again, gluttony being a sin, when did that become cool?
It's a great thing, she's out, she's jogging, she's exercising. That was one of the reasons why I was in the gym business for so long. I wanted to help people to come to a higher level of health and clarity in their mind. But okay, she's doing the physical work, but the most important thing is what you put in your body. And unfortunately today, with a lot of these big food companies, the corporations, the way they make money is by selling more of their product. So they put ingredients in the food that addict the people to their product. And this addiction makes them eat more of the food that's already overly calorie dense. And they put all this weight on, and it just keeps going and going and going. And then they're being told it's not their fault. Maybe you were born with a fat gene. It's supposed to be like the gay gene. Maybe you were born with the gay gene. It's genetics.
No, it's
not. You're becoming a victim to the powers that be who know how to manipulate you, know how to manipulate your reality. And this is the result of the limited choices that you believe you have, when actually you have a lot more choices that would give you, if you were to use those choices properly, would give you a lot more of the results you're looking for. Then you would be able to use yourself, like say on the video, to be able to help other people come to the true, solution to their problem.
Which is that you can't work yourself out of a bad diet.
Okay.
And it's sad to see them, just...
This is from 100 years ago, this video, less than 100 years ago.
That's when you had real food.
That's a classic. You can go to there's pictures online in 1970s at the beach. Just any beach in the 1970s. You don't see one overweight person.
Show me one overweight person here.
Not one. But that's what I'm saying. This looks like, what a relic. But no, 1970, you go on the beach and there's still nobody overweight. So everybody there looks all sharp.
And you can also tell, okay, the people having this is a fad, right? So people wearing similar hats, women wear similar hats, dresses, shoes, etc.
There's bad boy Glenn in the middle with the white T-shirt. That's the bad boy back then. The guy that's not wearing the hat and the tie. He looks like he's looking for trouble.
He still looks clean.
Nah, he's looking for trouble.
But his pants are not hanging around his ankles. Like he's not showing his underwear. Yeah, he's looking for trouble.
He's looking for trouble.
Yeah, 100%. But if that's what the troublemaker looked like in 1930s, compare with the troublemaker. You have like, what do they call them? Island brothers and something like this who tongue kissing themselves.
That's wrong
to
on
make
so
a
many
viral
levels.
video. They have tattoos on their face, and you don't see single nose piercing here. And you can the biggest thing you can take away from here: men look like men, women look like women. You can separate. I can tell you what their pronouns are right there just from looking at this video.
And also, it looks like people garnered a lot more respect for each other.
For themselves, just for themselves.
For themselves, yeah. Well, that's how you respect somebody else.
Exactly.
Through respecting yourself first.
Exactly.
You
You
take
can only
care of
love somebody
yourself.
to the degree you love yourself. You can only respect others to the degree you respect yourself.
Now, if everybody did that, then, okay, we're not going back to the early 1900s, but we would go back to making the world a better place. That's so simple. It's right there, people. That's the solution. It's not complicated. The best things in life are very simple.
Don't reinvent the bicycle.
No, it's very simple.
So when you drink your coffee, you drink it plain?
when I train, I have a coffee before going to the gym. That's my pre-workout, and I put a little bit of a high-end protein powder in there for a little bit of taste, and that's it.
That's just simple enough. Okay, so speaking of respect, okay, what about this video? How much respect is this man getting? Oh, I have a sound for this.
Oh, the little fella in the back, he's just kicking the seat. He's got a lot of energy, okay? So it starts off for a little while. It's going. The lad in the front who's getting his seat kicked, he's starting to complain a little bit to his lady.
It's awesome. You having fun?
Somebody saying, yeah.
But he's trying to do his job, but now she's like, hey, what are you doing? Okay, shh. And look, other people are laughing.
Yes, my question is, what does the mom do? Mom's really involved with her or whatever, texting.
Well, maybe, yeah, and then you have the cell phone warrior with the camera. They're taking it and laughing, you know.
Like, oh, they're saying that's cute.
He's just asking, you know, can you just ask the little one to take it easy for he's kicking?
He's way worse than this at home. This is him calm.
I understand. We're just trying to relax and get to our destination. We're all trying to be quiet.
It's fine. We'll stop in a sec.
I don't know if it's real or easy.
Nah, it looks scripted, but
Yeah, it looks
still funny.
scripted.
Just talk to me.
I'm sorry. Do you care to like get your kid?
It's getting real.
I mean, have you ever had a kid on the plane for 3 hours? What would you do? What would you do?
What I do, I just get up and go to another seat.
Behaving, definitely behaving. Now
I don't think you've passed on good manners.
I definitely passed on good manners. I'm gonna need you to turn around. Listen, I got this. I'm gonna need you to
Gotta
turn
be
around.
scripted.
All this starts because the little fella kicking his seat. You know,
Yeah, that does look scripted. I agree. Like, but still, it's a good okay. If it is a scripted video, I have a personal story. It happened to me actually yesterday. This happens daily. Brothers and sisters, I'm 7 feet tall, so I'm a walking celebrity. Even without people knowing, everybody wants to take a picture with me everywhere I go. Right, so I'm like a Brad Pitt and Angelina put together. But
One on top of the other?
exactement. Right, that's exactly in French. So or even yesterday, I was working at the event, and you know, all kinds of people, especially women, would come and take pictures with me, and it you know, like it's a normal thing to them. Oftentimes, what people would talk in third person. Today, I went to the store to buy some dark chocolate, which is our ritual. We'd, you know, dark chocolate before the show, some good carbs. And then, you know, I can hear people talking about me in third person. Oh, look at this, mom, look at this guy. And the guy who referred to his mom, he was in his 40s. Right? He's shopping with his mom. There's already all kinds of issues there. But the point is, he's like, mom, look at him. You know, and they start discussing, like, what do you think he sleeps? You know, what do you think he eats? Oh my God, this guy, he's taller than the cousin, blah, 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 all this other stuff. So, you know, oftentimes people's like, well, Alex, you have 50 grades of asshole. Why do you go talk to all those people? And he's like, I have no shame because, you know, I experience this in reverse all the time. And it happens to me all the freaking time. And in personal story, it happened. I went to the shop to buy some, I don't know, some cereal. I don't remember. This is some cereal for my daughter. And the same story. It was a mother and a daughter. They were not a Caucasian ethnicity, something else. I don't remember what it was because I'm not racist. I don't focus on that. But the point was exact same story. The daughter in my presence was talking about me in third person. That is rude, brothers and sisters. If you don't know and you have to question it and you say, no, Alex, what's wrong with that? Go back to some kind of ethic or manner school or ask somebody else and it will explain to you why it's rude. So I was polite enough and I said, Mom, to mother, you know, this is not really polite. This is a good learning moment and opportunity. I don't like to do this, but this is a bit offensive to me when you guys talked about in the third person. I'm not offended, but anybody else, you know, they could be touched by that. And you shouldn't describe people's physical qualities right next to them so they can hear you. The mother went off on me, calling me racist and then bringing up emancipation and all this other stuff. How dare you? And she actually went as far as complaining to management that how dare I raise this as an issue. So this video is a perfect example. Even if it's scripted, stuff like this does happen. And I maybe that's a perfect example of gaslighting. I don't know what it is. Or Glenn, you got something to say?
Yeah, well, I know you're not a racist. You're a heightist, being 7 feet tall.
100%.
But you know, like all these videos, if you notice, after the scamdemic, and then people went back to their normal life and they were taking vacations, the travel took off. So a lot of problems are happening on airplanes where people are in close proximity for several hours at a time. It seems like it doesn't take much for something somebody says or something somebody does to get under this person's skin, and then they react, and it's happening a lot. Like you were saying, you throw a little bit of alcohol into the picture. You know, maybe these people are on psychological drugs too, and everything now today seems to be like a powder keg. It can blow up so quickly, and very few people know how to stop or address the problem as quick as possible. Everybody wants to be a spectator. All the cell phone warriors come out and take picture, you know, a video of the 3 guys beating up the old lady and not doing anything about it. But man, it's time to put your phone away and get in there and help the lady out, for example.
But then you sacrifice really good footage to become, what do they call it?
Modern day hero, okay?
Yeah,
you become a real man. That's the way you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help out when you see something that is not right. You're supposed to stand up for what you believe in, not cower in the corner.
What about going viral? This is a good viral footage, Glenn. You know, filming a 76-year-old woman getting hit.
And you jump in and you become a hero, and it's probably some other nerd who was taking the video of you. So then you go viral for doing what you're supposed to do.
You go from cameraman to leading role, you know?
That's it.
It's possible. But to full circle, you introed this with the rat and 2 rats together and just a little bit of an impulse, a little bit of discomfort. And as soon as we get out of the house, people are just in discomfort compared to being naturally at home. And then I think the rats represent it well. Unfortunately, we should be kind of above that. But no, I think as soon as they're out of the home and they think this is the need and the way to react. So it's getting more volatile out there. We see it a lot on the roads and stuff. And you don't have a lot of that. It seems like in the 90s, 2000s, you had a lot more people intervening. There was less like just the spectator sport of looking on your phone and just this is my answer to this situation.
But also, like it's a fear. You if you intervene, God forbid, you might become a target, right? And I don't mean like a target like you get a target, you get hit or get hurt. Well, that's possible too, but you might become a target of the lawsuit later, or some kind of other legal repercussion.
That, you nailed it right there, okay? So now good people are a victim of the law, you see, because the law a lot of times protects the perpetrator, and they don't want the rise of the vigilante. Oh, no, because that's a bad person, even though that person is doing something for the good or trying to prevent something bad from happening. You know, 50 years ago, men kept each other in check, okay? If a guy was acting up a little bit, you know, he could do it a few times, but then he'd act up with the wrong person and he would pay the price. And the police officer, you know, who went and arrested people would say, well, what happened? Yeah, okay, you did what you're supposed to do. You idiot, come with me. You know, come sleep it off for a while in jail. But today, oh, no, we're supposed to, it's called toxic masculinity. You're not supposed to do anything as a man. You're just supposed to get on your phone and call the police, call 911, and that's it. And obviously, take a video of everything. So, you know, try and help yourself go viral on being a complete idiot. Instead of being a man, getting into the game, once in a while, you have to put your skin on the line for the greater good. Now, I ask you, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that?
Well, a good point that you bring up about police, but police officer was also a man at that point, right? Like there had to be, so the police force was destroyed, you know, and again, like the way the family was destroyed, police force was destroyed, and all this not affirmative action,
civic responsibility
when they start hiring all the women and all this other stuff. and not maybe people not necessarily qualified. Obviously, all the institutions were always corrupt. I'm not saying that, but it was more about the men and values and high
I mean,
values.
the men have more pride to want to intervene, and nowadays it's no, they'll call a woman to come and fix it. Like a woman cop will come by and fix it. And I think that's where we're at. We think that it's somebody else's job to protect the community or protect people within the community without acknowledging that it's a reactionary force. Police can only intervene after the fact. And for people not to, we had a prime minister that gloated when he went to California to Gavin Newsom that the Canadians don't have a right to self-defense. And you take the firearms courses here in Canada and they will embed that in your head and tell you at no point in time are you supposed to use that, to the point where they're using people as examples in Toronto where there's a break and enter. Man defended his family. He had kids and a wife in the home, and they're pressing charges on him. And like I said, Trudeau bragging and enjoy as if we're more civilized up here because people won't take the responsibility to protect themselves first, their family second, and then their community third. So I think we're far off the mark as far as outsourcing that responsibility to intervene when there's an injustice taking place somewhere, thinking that it's somebody else's job. And the government loves that. They thrive on that. So it's even with a pocket knife here. You can't carry one and say that your intention is for protection. If ever you use that for protection in a valid context, it still shows premeditation on your part that you left carrying it, so you meant to use it. Even if you try to argue the fact that, well, no, I want to use it if somebody comes up to me and tries to rob me, if I see something happening on the street, somebody getting accosted with a weapon, seeing a dog attack another dog, how else are you supposed to? So we're effeminate in this unhealthy, far gone way in our society where...
Or also you're describing Communism 101.
Everybody's a victim. We all have to follow. Take away your leadership ability.
Become a victim.
Become a victim. It's normal.
Call us.
But also you have to fall in line with the party line, right? I have a perfect video for that. Let's watch this really quick.
What happens when you allow police forces to become politicised by far-left lunacy? When you have hiring practices that prioritise diversity and inclusion rather than competence and temperament? What happens when the police force is so uniquely hopeless that they fail to solve a single burglary in neighbourhoods across half the country?
And that's the perfect point, what you guys brought up. They no longer, their business is no longer to actually there to protect you and serve you. They're there. And Andre, that's what you said in the previous episode. They're there to collect. They're basically tax collectors. And they're there to keep the agenda in check, specifically.
Keep the monopoly of violence on the side of the state.
Yeah, and also, you're right. And also, the reason why they need good soldiers, and good soldiers usually just the ones that follow commands. So
those are the ones that get promoted within these ranks. They'll never, nobody's ever going to promote somebody that thinks that they will not listen to a command. So that's what you have as a culture over there, the people that get ahead.
Well, that's modern British policing. Yes, according to the latest data, no break-ins were resolved in 48.2% of neighbourhoods across England and Wales in the past 3 years. But if you want to see the constabulary spark into action, then just post a funny meme on social media or write a limerick about the excesses of the trans movement. Then they'll terrorise you for alleged hate crimes. That's what they did. They did that just recently to a terrified autistic 16-year-old girl whose only crime was to note that a police officer resembled her lesbian nan. Watch how these officers treat this poor girl who has both physical and mental health issues. A girl who was so distressed.
Andre, did you see that video?
It's horrible. This is
through this ordeal. She was
Go
hiding.
ahead, you can talk to me.
No, for years ago, like when the autism spectrum, people born with it started growing, we got these videos of parents calling the police for help because their child was having a psychosis, and the police show up shooting the child because he had a screwdriver, because he had whatever. And now you have this, like, clearly, like, I'd commend this girl for accurately depicting what she perceived to be a lesbian.
Bitch, what me if I get put on me? Calm down. She's autistic. Can you staring at her, please? She's got autism. Can you just stand there? She's in a cupboard. She can't go anywhere. Then she said the word lesbian. Her nana is a lesbian. She's married to a woman. She's not homophobic. Look what you're clenching your fist. Go away from my teenage daughter.
They could have de-escalated this, including the woman in question, that police officer, and look what they do instead. This is savage.
She won't come out. She's got autism.
the statists have no common sense. They have no discernment, and it just blows my mind because it could say maybe one of them. There's how many of them there?
Oh, there was a whole more than we care, really.
It's just it's the saddest thing when you see these mentally
Look at
handicapped people.
That was 3 women. Okay, the female police officer, I don't know, the friend or the mother, and then the poor autistic person. And there was one guy there. What did he do? Nada. Turtled. Nothing. That's when you're supposed to say, hold on. Okay, let me take care of it. You go out there, we'll calm things down.
Yeah.
Start listening, take control of the situation. Nobody does that anymore. They don't know what control is. It's out of control situations, one after the other. I blame the men for this. Men have become effeminate. They've become sissies. They don't know how to do what's right. They're afraid to stand out and do something that's good. They just want to blend in. They do everything they can for comfort. They do what's easy. They don't do what they have to do, what's necessary, what being a man is. And this is the reason why you have society in a bit of a collapse right now. It's because of weak men. Don't blame the woman. I do not blame the women. I'm not like those man channels that call women names, the bad names because the women had to adapt and had to change. The reason why the women had to adapt and had to change is because the men forgot how to be men. And with this, being a man, masculinity means exuding proper leadership qualities.
Agreed.
So, but if you look at the video, this is the woman in question who looks like a lesbian ant. I mean, that's not that far off. And by the way,
just looks like a lady.
But whatever I called her, whatever you want to call her,
whatever they call it, doesn't. Yeah, it's not even relevant.
It's not relevant.
First off, it's a child. Second off, it's an actual mentally challenged child. And if they're not there to protect these people, what are they there for? And now they're actually doing the aggressing. And as Glenn was saying, they easily could have de-escalate the situation, but in my opinion, these police officers are so mentally traumatized. I've already had a production years ago as far as not just post-traumatic stress disorder by vocation of what they're exposed to, but it's more CPTSD. It's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. They shouldn't even be allowed to carry a firearm. In the laws in Canada, you cannot have a license if you're diagnosed or if you had medication or if you're admitted in the hospital. And here they are giving firearms and discretionary decision authority over others to people that are mentally, by vocation, every day exposed to the most vile, traumatic events that it just takes one for somebody to be exposed to, for you to be recognized to suffer from PTSD and not be able to carry. And then meanwhile, we're sending these people over to the homes of children that go in psychosis. The parents are crying out for help. And my suggestion to these people that have mentally challenged people in their family, make sure you already have a protocol. Make sure you have somebody else that you could call, more than one person that you could reach at any time of the day. Because now we're seeing these videos that are getting more egregious of these people responding. Instead of de-escalating, they're literally killing some of these children. And this is a sad one, but at least that autistic child left with their life. And now hopefully these statist officers, these policy men with guns that back up the political class, could be shamed into non-existence. Like, this is what we should be using: the deplatforming, the canceling, and the shaming, is have their faces plastered everywhere that you abused handicapped children. It's not cool. When did that become cool?
Do you know, in 2012, I believe, in Quebec specifically, you had 1 in a million chance getting shot by cop to death, which is much greater than getting hit by lightning, or even being eaten by a shark. So, which is pretty high, actually, if you're in Florida. So 1 in a million chance getting hit by a cop. Or killed by a cop, sorry.
Rest in peace, Freddie Villanueva, Pierre Corléan, Alain Magloire. We have a lot in Montreal, and this affects me directly because I get affected by that, because every one of those was an execution. Not one of those was warranted. Even the coroner's report after the fact, there was no justification for these brutal murders that these officers commit. There's not even a charge. Like, they're not even acquitted, meaning they don't even get charged with this. And this is why things changing and awareness and ascension and capturing some of this stuff and sharing it's needed. Shame these people. Shame these people. Shame these people. Like,
And well, that's why they're doing C18 and C11, so they can get away with censoring that too. Sorry, Glenn.
Just a short story, a true story to show the paradoxical differences between a proper time and this craziness that we have going on today. It was a guy that I knew from the gym. You know, he's retired. He's in his 80s now. But the story was 50 years ago, 40 some odd years ago, he was the captain or the sergeant of a station. And they kept arresting one guy, you know, several times a year for beating up his wife. And then he would get out again because she was afraid to press charges or she didn't, you know. And so after the third time, I heard the story and other people backed it up that the officer told everybody else, okay, out. They had to leave. Apparently he took his gun, put it down. He took his badge down, went in to the jail, the cell, and he gave it to him. He says, here, you're going to feel what this feels like. And beat the hell out of him. He says, if you ever come back for that same thing, you better watch yourself. And the lad never came back. You see, that was a man who was standing up for principle. People would say, oh, that was against the law. No, that was nature's law when men kept the men in check and things worked better.
Unless he was autistic. But 50 years ago, chances are he wasn't.
Yeah, no. And the likelihood of that is almost nil compared to what it is today. And they're saying, oh, it's just not that. Where are these 89-year-olds wearing helmets and knee pads that are drastically overweight? It just wasn't the case. It didn't exist. On a side note to that, we spoke about it on a previous episode here about in Montreal, there is a list that exists that women are publishing. And to me, it just blows my mind that this exists, where we have rapists, we have people that commit sexual assault. There's a list. It's still up. There's no incitement to violence. There's no brothers, sisters, ex-boyfriends, cousins that are stepping up to the plate and being like, this guy did this to you, to the point where some of these guys have like 5 or 6 or 7 accusations on them. And still to this day, there's nothing that how do you feel, women? You guys enjoy having that list published? Would it stop that guy from getting laid for a year or two, maybe at best, or from making maybe 1 or 2 other victims, but he's still victimizing people? To me, it's unfortunately, I lean with Glenn on this. It's not vigilante. It's in the rest of the world, it's still the way it would work. You come home to me and you tell me somebody manhandled you, somebody raped you, somebody beat you. He would wish he would get arrested and catch a case after catching a beating.
He would hope that the police would catch him first. You know, we always say in the channel that you have the cycles, the business cycles or the economic cycles, which are engineered, by the way, right now. But we're going to be entering a tough time. Tough times create tough men. Now, the rise of tough men will keep the weaker men in check. We won't need the law to do it, which the Matrix wants us to keep doing so that we're all victims and helpless. No, the tough times is going to come back to a better way. And it's going to be tough men who are going to stand up and do things proper to keep our brothers in check, because sometimes, you know, they may need a little check. And through this, the women will start being comfortable again. They'll start feeling safe. And then maybe the families will stay together. The children will grow up the way nature intended, with a mother and a father, the masculine, the feminine and the masculine energy dynamic working in unison the way nature intended. And then you'll have a strong family. Strong families create strong communities. Strong communities create strong nations. And we'll be back there again. It's coming.
Okay, brothers and sisters, it's been a good show, and I'm gonna end it with a story. It's not my story. Remember, Glenn Poseidon told us this story, and that's kind of circling back to what Andre is talking about. You know, before serial rapist gets caught, they get away with about, on average, 9 rapes before they've been brought to attention. This is crazy. Because you would think, why wouldn't they stop at number 8? And that's how you end the show with a rape joke, brothers and sisters. No, I'm not going to do it. That's in poor taste. I'm not doing a rape joke. This is not even my joke. This is Poseidon's joke. And I'm not taking any ownership of that, but I tried something new. But
So
here's
dark.
it is
So-
pretty.
you're
It's
so dark.
it-
I love you that way.
But here's we'll finish with the comedy. This is a Quebec story. Quebec woman sentenced to almost 22 years for sending poison-laced letter to Trump. And if you, brothers and sisters, you watching the show, look at the derangement. Look at her. I don't know. Are they bloodshot eyes? What's going on with her face?
Can you imagine having your life taken away for that long? Not thinking, for lack of thinking. Okay, you have a hatred for somebody that you never met. This hatred was magnified through the media spewing out all their consistent lies to get your back up even more. This person who looks like she's in a little bit or he or whatever is in trouble mentally. It's a she. This is what she's going to go through. She couldn't think the ramifications of doing something like that first.
Well, it's just very simple. Neoliberalism is a mental disease, and maybe she'll get out early because she can claim insanity eventually if she realizes she is insane.
To hate somebody that much, you do a disservice to yourself. After 5-6 years in prison, just ask that person, was it worth it? Really?
I'll say 5-6 weeks. I don't think it's going to take that long for her to realize she made a mistake.
Depends when her meds or the drugs wears off.
Yeah, this person's life is
Orange
is
man
ruined.
bad. She really swallowed that pill.
What else did she swallow, Andre? She's going to swallow a lot more in jail. Because why she's going to swallow a lot more in jail? Because now if you claim to be transgender, you can go to female jail and, what do they call? That's actually a thing, right?
It's been happening nonstop. These guys that get 40-year bids, 20-year bids, might as well chill with some chicks and then go and chill with Sausage Fest and
then they'll get
your ass kicked and get your beaten up because you're probably in there for some kind of sexual mischief.
Yeah. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning in to Alex's show. It was pretty dark at the end, but we hope we're not here to scare you or turn you off in a way that the world is trying to turn you off. We bring it to attention that the things are pretty grim, but we're not here to react. We're here to act and bring back your values. Become a high-value person, not just a man, but a woman as well. Find some tradition within you through discipline, spiritual, physical, mental, dietary disciplines, and they should be your daily routines, not just once in a while. And stay away from the new normal stuff. Stay away from all this gender identity. Stop being fat. Fat is not normal. And, it's okay to get out of balance and eat a couple of poutines this week, but don't stick with that diet. Eat some carrots and some apples and some boiled eggs or whatever rock your boat. Don't eat crickets. Your body cannot digest that. Thank you for tuning in to Alex's show, and we'll see you in the next one.